So now that we have defined what is an organization, what is communication, and what is OrgaComm, we are now ready to define what is a communication audit, which is your project. Once again, from Wikipedia, a communication audit is a thorough evaluation of an organization's ability to transfer information, aka the messages. This type of audit can be performed to evaluate an organization's external or internal communication capabilities, and we have learned that the typical business organization has both internal as well as external publics. The purpose of a communication audit is to uncover the strengths and weaknesses within various stages of the information transfer. Now, the stages in information transfer is something that we could look at in the SRAM, whether occurring directly within the company itself or with its clients or stakeholders. So, here are some of the basic questions that you need to address or answer in your audit. Number 1, who is your client? Number 2, what are the main communication tasks of your client? Number 3, what are some of the most common communication problems encountered by your client? And number 4, what suggestions or improvements could you recommend to your client? Let's look at these questions one by one, beginning with the first one, who is your client? Within the organization, what is the role and responsibility of your client? What are her tasks or his tasks, duties and responsibilities? Who is the boss of your client? And who are the people who report to your client? Who are the customers that your client serves? Are they internal customers or external customers? That is something that you need to uncover in question number 1. Question number 2. What are the main communication tasks of your client? Who are the typical receivers of your client? What sort of messages, let's say this is your client, what sort of messages does your client send to these receivers? What codes, verbal or non-verbal, does your client employ in sending these messages? What media or channels, verbal or non-verbal, does your client utilize? And what sort of feedback loop does your client employ? Now take note, your client is not just a sender of messages. Your client is also a receiver of messages. So who are the publics? Who are the people who send messages to your client? What sort of messages do they send? What sort of codes, languages, verbal or non-verbal, do they utilize? What media and channels, verbal or non-verbal, do they utilize? And what sort of feedback loop do they have? And how are these communication transactions performed despite the fact that you have some distractions or noise in the environment? Number 3, what are the common communication problems of your client? Is there miscommunication? If there is miscommunication, what is the source of the miscommunication? Is it because your client is not using the right codes? Is it because your receiver could not understand or properly decode these messages? Why is this so? Is it because they are using the wrong medium or channel? Maybe the channel is a particular form. Look at the appearance of that form, which is one of the 6 criteria. Does the appearance help create messages that are clear and accurate and concise and coherent? If your client makes use of computer technology, let's say some types of software, look at the screen displays of these software. Are they user-friendly? Look at the appearance. Is the appearance of the screen display accurate, clear, coherent, concise, which is part of your 6 criteria? Does your client receive feedback on a timely and regular basis? Or do you have delays in the feedback from the publics that your client deals with? If there are delays, what causes these delays? Is there noise or ample distraction in the environment? If so, what can you do to minimize this type of noise. Okay? Number 4, what improvements can you recommend to your client? Well, sometimes it could be a redesign of their forms. If the appearance of their forms is not that good, if it leads to inaccuracies, maybe you need to redesign the forms, or maybe the screen displays in their computers, or maybe their filing system is not good. It's not clear, it's not coherent. Or maybe they have signages in their environment that communicate confusing messages, unclear messages, inaccurate messages. Or maybe there is a recommendation that you could give in their communication procedure. Maybe there are certain steps that are redundant. Maybe there are certain steps that cause backlogs or delays. Maybe there are certain steps that can be taken out of the process because they are not needed. These are just some of the improvements and recommendations that you can give to your client so that they can improve their communication operations. So with this, we end our video reference. I wish you all the best in your communication audits, and if I still have time, I'll try to see if I could create some more video references like these. Thank you and goodbye.